I'm Jean Gray, publisher of American Entrepreneurship Today and host of the podcast series Experience Voices, where I talk with highly accomplished people who share the critical elements that led to their success. In this episode of Experience Voices, we explore the foundational elements that make a business model both impactful and enduring. Our guest is David Duguan, the Ghanaian-born founder and CEO of Voxify, whose approach to innovation is grounded in something timeless: hospitality. Raised in a culture where hospitality is more than a gesture, it's a way of life, David saw firsthand how meaningful human connection builds trust and loyalty. That same belief in the power of relationships inspired him to tackle a growing pain point for small businesses: missed customer calls and fractured communication. Blending this passion for service with his expertise as a seasoned CTO, David launched Voxify in 2022. The company's flagship product, Aurora Hub, is a turnkey AI voice assistant that integrates seamlessly with any phone system to ensure no customer is ever left unheard, no business opportunity is missed. Voxify is redefining how small and mid-sized businesses engage with customers, strengthening trust, improving responsiveness, and enabling owners to focus on growth. David, welcome to Experience Voices.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Jean. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's start by talking about Hello Aurora, your AI voice platform. Share a little bit about your features and the services it provides for small businesses.
Yeah, so Aurora by Voxify is created to focus on redefining customer communication for small businesses in America. They're the heartbeat of America, and our mission is to really decentralize the monolithic structure of the telecom giants and help these small businesses to take full advantage of their customer interaction, their data, and any interactions via SMS, web, phone, while again mainly focusing on eliminating those bad customer conversations and communications. And the features is pretty easy. Like the first feature is what we focus on. We try to make it super easy for the people that we work with to use. So all you need is a website, a URL link, and you can create an assistant in less than 2 minutes, which kind of goes to our whole ethos of making it easy and meeting our clients where we are. You're also able to train your assistant just by uploading information or just having a conversation, just like how we are with your assistant. And then you're also able to speak 29 languages because your assistants can understand 29 languages and accents, and is able to book meetings, set up appointments, gather information for estimates, and so on and so forth.
Well, everyone's using phone systems now, but you're taking this to another level. And many small businesses are concerned about cost savings, customer retention, or customer leads. Can you give a sort of a deeper description of some specific features that your product or service brings to the table more than a typical voice platform?
100%. So we get the basics right. And what makes us the go-to choice and why service-based businesses loves us, because we truly understand them. We've had, before we even started building, before we launched, we had over 200 customer interactions that we took to make sure that we understand what this is. And we know that referrals is super important for our client base. And we know that, and we also know that like for them to get referrals, you need to have good customer support. So we put that into consideration. So the basics, answering the phone 24 hours, is able to have a conversation, book meetings, all of that is fun. The real good part about it and what makes it special is the fact that it's able to text mid-call. So you're able to have a conversation and text your email. If, let's say, instead of spelling out your email like phonetically, like my email is David@HelloVoxify, instead of saying D for David and A for Anderson or whatever, you can just text it. Or same thing with your address, that applies too. And then let's say, for example, like the line cuts off because you're going and need a tunnel or somewhere where there's no connection, or you're hiking for whatever reason. If you're hiking, if you hang up, Aurora will send you a text message like, hey, just to make sure that, we got your situation all situated. Is there anything I can help with? Or is there any other information I can provide to you that will be helpful? So those two things are part of many things that we do to really, really harp on customer retention and doing follow-ups too. So let's say if a customer calls and they had a problem or they had a situation where it had to be handled by a human interaction, Aurora can follow up like, hey, I know you called a couple of days, want to make sure that the situation that you brought up has been taken care of and this has been all situated. So also another thing that we're able to do is to really focus on harnessing up the customer attention. And yeah.
So would you say that Hello Aurora brings engagement to the user, to the small business owner, that a phone system is just a recipient of information, but Aurora has the capabilities to provide very timely and specific information to the small business owner?
Yes, definitely, 100%. So after every single call, the business owner gets a summary and a full transcript of the interaction that happened and also a recording of the voice conversation. And the same thing applies to text too. So they get that information ready and sent to them. So they're able to view. They also get like a weekly report that gives them a breakdown of how many calls they got this week. What is the makeup? Is it half new callers, 20% returning callers? And then they get an analysis breaking down, this is what people are complaining about. These are what people love. Here are your top call times. And also in that report is how to solve the problems that your customers are complaining for, or suggestions on how to improve those different things. So all of that makes it ready for our customers to use, which makes it better and has a lot more capabilities and a lot more functionalities to, let's say, a regular business line where it's just a regular phone where you call, or it has the automated phone menu where it's the press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And we all know that can get super, super tedious and super annoying, and it's not really a good customer experiences.
What is the cost structure? So a person who already has a phone system adds on to what they have. Is the additional cost justified in their head as to paying more for your service?
So we give autonomy to the customer to decide if they want to still keep their old phone system or not. They don't have to. We have a phone number and they can just use the phone number if they want to. Disconnect from their previous provider, they can. If they want to, they can too. We don't make it a requirement to do so. And in terms of the justification for cost, is pretty prevalent because one phone call, depending on the field of business that you're in, one phone call can probably get your return on investment if it's more than $99. It's whatever service you're selling. It's more than $99, you get your return just off of that. And our ROI, we've also noticed that our ROI is pretty high on our old pricing model, where back in the day, like it was like a few months ago, probably like, I don't know, 7-8 months ago, that we had a $1,500 installation fee. That was to train the assistant, create the assistant, make sure that the functions that needed to be created and all that fun stuff. And we still had a over 430% ROI because of the cost of it and the revenue that's been generated from the tool. So yeah, and I'm sure you can imagine with a 99 price point, that ROI is a no-brainer. And they notice it too, because not only that too, but you get to save a bunch of time. And shockingly enough, the people that we interact with, the people that are using it and what they love is high. That ranks high is the time that's being saved, because they get to focus on more and more important initiatives to help grow the business even more.
So your target market is primarily small businesses, but give the listener some examples, and you were referring to it just now, of how a small business owner is capturing engagement that feeds into a great ROI. Like, who would be a really great example of someone who gets that information timely that they're now not getting?
Yeah. So the top big three are plumbing companies, window cleaning companies, and then janitorial services. So home services are huge for us. And also other service-based businesses like the printing companies or a consulting group are also pretty big. Also law firms too are pretty enjoying. And those are the people that we work with, because that's the people that we're able to get the largest amount of output and the largest amount of value out to them currently.
Now, you did a fair amount of pre-market testing. I think you were saying that you had almost 200 interactions as you were developing Hello Aurora. So, share a little bit about how you put your business plan together that defined that market segment. Because if you're looking at something that's going to scale, I mean, we are in a population of 300 million people,
Yeah.
but you're going after a specific addressable market. You shared a little bit about the plumbers and the home service people, but how did you figure out the size of that market to make the commitment to launch the venture?
Amazing question. So this is the part that I get excited about because this is where I get to get a little nerdy. And how we got to this point was first we casted the net out wide to all types of businesses. And from, I don't know, like it initially started with an architectural and visualization firm. And then we talked to some more people. We talked to restaurants, salons, you name it, we probably talked to them. And we noticed that there's for companies in this, I call it the purgatory stage, they're anywhere doing around from $200,000 in revenue all the way up to about 10 million in revenue. They still have this weird phase where they have enough money, but they don't have enough money to fully scale. And we know that one of the big problems for them is customer interaction and customer support. Also, 99% of businesses in the whole United States is small businesses. They make up our economy. They are our economy. And they also make up almost 50% of our GDP. So we know that this is a big market, and this is a market where we can disrupt. Also, to that, out of the 99%, 50% of businesses in that 99 is service-based businesses. And those are trades and stuff that is constantly in demand and constantly in need. And we've had interaction with customers where we talk to, and they're doing large amounts of revenue, like 700,000, over $1 million, and they have never even launched an ad in their life. So that goes to show that those markets and those segments are not going anywhere, and they're definitely in demand, and they're only going to keep getting rising in demand. So combining the factor of both pure value being driven to the customer and also like how big the market is how we decided to focus on this specific niche.
So that's an awesome pain point that you've identified, because I've built a couple of companies and you're hitting a lot of the different frustrations and challenges, especially in the first few years where you're multitasking and you can't get back to customers. So how did your idea for this come about? I see in your background that you were a CTO. Can you give a little bit of an understanding of where the light bulb came on and you said, I've got something here?
Yeah. So this idea came from the old company that I was with called VSN, Visual Solutions Nexus. And while we were working there, we were scaling to a point. And again, we had the same problem where we had no customer support. So everyone was stressed. And also we had a bunch of leads coming in, but we had no ways to communicate. I think there's a saying by Damon John, the co-founder of Fubu, says majority of companies don't die over starvation, they die over consumption. And that's usually the case. There's so much to do and so much different aspects to go that you can't make your decision. So I noticed that problem, and we're going to go the typical route of bringing on an assistant or a virtual assistant, or bringing on a salesperson like a SDR or a closer to come help solve this problem. But I tend to be a little finicky. I like to tinker a lot. So I decided to take it upon myself to start doing some research. And I knew LLMs were a thing, and I knew that if we're able to figure out a way to connect a phone number to it, maybe we might be able to have some kind of something to base my hypothesis off of. So initially it started, I did it, it didn't work. I was actually on the phone with my significant other, and we were having a conversation. I kept trying, it didn't work. And then randomly I was on FaceTime, and then a phone call popped up. And I was like, who's this? Who's this calling my line? And it dawned on me that, oh, it's Aurora, is what you created. So that's where it initially came from, and that's where the idea spun up from. And from there, and as we just talked about, the customer process of talking to customers, trying to validate the point. Is this something that can truly help? Going through that whole process to validate it, and then voila, here we are.
Given that you have a tech background, from the point of the idea to building at least a prototype, how long did it take, and how did you sort of lay out the steps? Was everything embodied in yourself? Did you end up reaching out to some key individuals that said, okay, I can frame this out, but I have to do one, two, and three? So how did you get through first two, three, four steps?
So definitely network was a big part of the validation of the process. So there's a few people that I seek advice from in terms for both career wise and also for personal endeavors. So first, reaching out to people that I have in my network to validate the point and do just basic discovery, like, hey, do you know anyone that is in this area of business that we can chat with? I think will be extremely valuable. So going that route first to get input, get feedback. What would they want? What would they like to see? Because essentially how I saw it is I just had the frame to a car. I still had to put in seats, still had to put in the tires, the different things. And I'm not creating this technology for me. I'm creating technology for service-based businesses. So their input is extremely, extremely important for that. So that's how it is, just purely network and then just validate it and try to get a pilot out as soon as possible.
But as far as that reach out that you began with, was there any rejection? Were there skeptics, and did you go home and pout?
There were so many rejections that it's not even funny. I remember once we did door to door and I was able to recruit one of my friends. And then we went in with the clipboards and tried to say that we're college kids doing surveys. It was kind of the process. Like, it was just part of it. And the amount of times that we've got rejected, and this was in Indianapolis, we went around like, hey, we're college kids at IUPUI trying to get data about vets or whatever institution that we'll go into. And the amount of times that we've got no. And it sucks a lot more doing it in person, but it's part of the game. I found it enjoyable. And once you get the feedback, that's when it started to get excited. And that's when the light bulbs keep coming on. So 100%. There's been more rejection. It's been no's than yes in the beginning. So yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the tech. In just sort of the fundamentals of building the system that you have, because you're also saying it's AI based and you do have a tech background. How far did you get by yourself, or was there one or two other experts that you plugged into your knowledge base that got the prototype, the actual working model in place?
Yeah. So in terms of how far that I personally went for bringing on people was we are able to spin up an LLM, also a virtual machine. We use an EC2 and spin up the databases to connect and make all the different API connections between all the different moving parts to get a functional MVP going. Where I started to bring on the team was creating the different functions that we have. So able to send a text message, able to send an email. Those functionalities was when I was able to bring people in to come help out in that process. And the main reason for that was so that I can spend more time on customer discovery and customer discussions. And that was kind of like the pivot. It was when I was like, all right, we need to dive more deeper. We got more feedback that, all right, this is actually something valuable. It's like, okay, this is worth it. This makes sense. Let's go ahead and double down.
So how far along are you in your launch? It's in the market. You have users. Share a little bit about your execution.
Right now, we are at the stage where we rebranded from Binary to Voxify, and we're at the stage where we're about to do a proper launch to launch this company and bring on more and more partners, because that's where we know that we're able to work with, because that's how our clients buy. And again, based off of the research that we did, we noticed that the market and the ideal customer profile that we're targeting don't really buy from traditional marketing means like advertisements or social media. We know that they buy from people that they trust, like their consultants or their chamber of commerce president, or even like a franchise broker, and so on and so forth. And me personally, that is like right in my sweet spot, because I love talking to people in person. And I'm also from Ghana, so community is huge for me. So going down that route and partnering with individuals who work directly with our customer profiles is our main strategy and our main channel that we're focused on.
So you're not really doing any direct advertising or promotion to the small businesses. Most of your focus is on establishing an affiliation or partnering structure for the company.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, 100%.
And how did you anticipate? So investors want to know about scalability, is how quickly can you move the startup forward? So in terms of approaching an investor and getting a sense of you can pull the team and the tech and the effort behind it, did you lay out a business plan that projected how much you could achieve over a 5-year period?
Yeah, so definitely. And scalability was in the back of my head from when I first created this. And also from experience from other startups that I've worked with, other initiatives or things that I've done from when I was very, very young, all of that apply to now. And I know distribution is one of the most important parts about a business is getting the product out for people to use it. And especially for technical founders, including myself, is definitely a point that we intentionally ignore because it's not our strong suit, but it's probably one of the most important, if not the most important part of that. So scalability was in the mountain. So to answer your question, how we plan for scalability is that we knew the fastest and most efficient way to grow is to, again, engage with those consultants and also franchises. So franchise brokers are sweet because a franchise can have hundreds of franchisees and they're most 90% of the time or 80% of the time, their processes are the same. So which means that we can easily duplicate instances for different franchisees in a franchisor organization, which means that we're able to scale a lot more faster without the soft cogs like employee count, all of this different information.
As far as the team yourself, or you have partners, or you have people that you're lining up in the next, month or two to go to the next level?
Yeah. So in terms of employees, right now we're sending about 4 engineers and we have a couple of contractors to help with marketing and help with the release of this. We also have advisors on our team too. And some of them worked at Kyndryl, some of them worked at Zorro, others all businesses, successful businesses, sold businesses. Actually, funny enough, one of them is the person that invented the App Store and sold it to Apple. And we also have a few different devices that have also been in the telecom space too. Those are like kind of the team makeup. In terms of partners and the people that we're working, hoping to go to market with, it's like the Chamber of Commerce in Washington, Oregon. And then also there's a group called the Playbook Investor Network. It's also one of our partners that we're working with. There's also Novena Systems, which are all of these like consultant groups that we're working with currently to get this deployed.
So you mentioned how you were originally testing out the idea. So share a little bit about your background, because I know you're from Ghana originally, right? And
yes, ma'am.
You're immersed into American culture now. So share a bit, when did you come to the States and where did you sort of go to school and come up with the sort of an ethos for your company?
Yeah. So I born and raised in Ghana. I moved to the States about 12 years ago. And the entrepreneurial bug, I didn't really think was a bug. And I say this all the time. I didn't really think it was a bug. I think it was just the way that life is how, humans operate as a species. But come to find out that there are a few different differences. So for example, the story that I tell all the time when I was about 7 was around the age that I was about to get confirmed. So I was raised Catholic, and in the process of Catholicism, there's the whole confirmation process where you get like Holy Communion, baptism, and then what's the last? Confirmation. The process of doing that, I had a mentor, but we took a trip to Anyanabasa, which is a village in the central region of Ghana. I say central region, but it's a coastal city. And my grandma lived there. And funny enough, I was talking to her yesterday, and there was a kid that came in that wanted to buy a can of milk. It was a can of evaporated milk, but didn't have enough money. So my grandma just gave it to him. But he came on a tire. It's like a tire where like the kids back home, they put like sticks in and treat it like it's a car or like a toy car. And I always loved cars. I'm a big gearhead. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I went and chased them around. We played together, came back. I was extremely daddy. My mom was mad. But that meant I had time to reflect. I had like a 3-hour drive to reflect. And when your mom is mad at you, she really doesn't really want to talk to you. So that was reflection time for me. So we reflected, and I noticed there was a discrepancy in our lives. But the main cause of the discrepancy was money. I mean, I was able to figure that out, that it all boils down to money. Because if they had the money, that they probably would not be in the situation that they're in. So I asked my mentor that was helping me throughout the confirmation process, how do you make the most money? And we went to a cafe, and back home, a cafe is basically a internet shop with a whole bunch of computers. And we went in and we Googled how to make the most money. We narrowed it down to 2 answers. First was either be a cardiovascular surgeon, or second, be a soccer player. It didn't last long. I decided to hang up my cleats, and from there I decided to pursue cardiovascular surgery. I did all the prerequisites, and then I had this moment dawn on me. I was like, oh, I don't think I want to go to school for about 14 years just to make, I don't know, like $500,000. I'm saying $500,000 is a lot of money. In terms of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve, it was not feasible at all, and it didn't make no sense. So I have African parents, and there's a saying that they say in African home where you have like 3 careers as an African kid. You can be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And nursing was the closest to do so. So I decided to go to nursing school. I got into nursing school, and as soon as that I did first day of clinicals, I saw a catheter being put into another man, and I was like, this is not really my speed. So I went to my advisor at like 9 a.m. in the morning and decided to change my major. Changed my major, went to a different school, and I got poached from my intern. And then poached again, startup, worked at a startup in Charlotte, moved from Charlotte to Austin to start my own startup. But basically, all that to say that the whole idea and the whole goal for creating this company is to find the intersection between the humanities and science, where we're able to deliver immense value to go back home and to deliver value. And that ethos is also incorporated in our company, even down to the logo. Like our values, one of our values is relationships over everything. And then the second one is customer and partner obsession, and then ecosystem optimization. But it's super, super important to us, like that the logo is a Sankofa, which is part of the Dinkra symbols from the Khan tribe in Ghana. And it means you always go back to where you start to help out. And this is the channel that I chose to go back home and help out, not just to that kid back in Ghana, even though that plays a huge, huge role, but to the people that we work with, because again, based off of the interviews and then the discussion that we had, we noticed that their deep, deep value is to really go back home and help out, because they have a family at home. They either have a family in outside the city or state or even country that they want to help out, that they're working hard for. And a lot of my family too do the same exact things. They come migrate here to the United States, work super, super hard just to take the money and go back home to help out. So it's definitely a big part of our ethos and what we definitely want to do. I know that was super long-winded, but thank you for listening for that long-winded answer.
Well, there's definitely a thread that I hear in what you explained, is that you're launching a customer service focused company. And that's part of your ethos as far as relationship building is there. It's always the core of a startup is, where is the heart of the entrepreneur? What is the motivation and the passion that's going to take them a long way? And if it's based upon such strong values that you described, you've got a real serious check mark that you've put in place here for building a customer-focused business.
It's nothing outside the box, nothing extraordinary that we're trying to build, especially for where I'm from. We are known, like Ghanaians are known to be hospitable to a fault. It's not anything that is extraordinary. It's something that's in my wheelhouse.
So, David, I've enjoyed speaking with you. This is quite a journey that you're starting. You've already been on, coming from Ghana to come to the States to get through figuring out what you want to do. And now in such a early part of your career, launching such a value-based service for small businesses. So I think the next few months are going to be very exciting for you. And I look forward to keeping in touch and seeing your next steps.
Definitely, definitely. I so much appreciate it.
You have been listening to the podcast series Experience Voices. To hear more and subscribe, visit AmericanEntrepreneurship.com/podcast, where you will also find a form for listener feedback.